In today's exercise, we're going to be creating a GitHub Profile README, which is a special feature of GitHub. It'll help us to advertise ourselves as an individual, as a professional, to anybody that would stumble upon our GitHub. The main prerequisite for today is just having a GitHub account. But if you'd like to use Visual Studio Code as an editor, that's an optional prereq as well. Let's get started. Supposing that you don't already have a GitHub Profile repository, it's pretty simple. You just go to New, and you create a repository that shares a name with your user. So board tweak example. And when you do that, when you enter that repository name, you'll get this nice little toast here that indicates, hey, this is a special repository. And anytime that you create a repository that shares the name with the user, it's considered this sort of special repository that allows you to advertise yourself. Let's go ahead and create that. It should be public, and it should have a README. Let's go ahead and create that. Awesome, so here we are. We can go ahead and click Edit. We can just do this in the browser. Alternatively, you can pull it down, leverage Visual Studio Code as an editor, and do the standard workflow for git, add, commit, and push. But if we click Edit, we see, hey, here's a template that's just commented out. And we can leverage that very readily, which is super cool. I'm going to trim it down a little bit to just give us this template here. And from here, we can iterate. Personally, I like to separate my profile into 3 sections. So I do sort of a summary, contact info, like how do you reach me, and then further at the bottom is a languages and tools. So what technologies do I currently work with, or what am I pursuing in terms of competency or proficiency? So let's leverage this section here for our summary, but we should also add 2 more headers. In fact, I want this to be a little bit bigger. So heading 1 and then a couple of heading 2s. The heading 2 will be, contact info and languages and tools. And there's our first start. We're starting to see something pop up. I've made a couple of different edits here to the summary to fill it in a little bit more about myself. But you get the idea here. I like to identify who I am real quick, followed by what am I working on or learning, and then different things I might be interested about with communication. You can put more things in here. It might be interesting to put in what is sort of your 1-year goal or your 5-year goal professionally, or just on the notion of personal growth or continual learning. Where do you want to end up there? You might find that that's helpful for the purpose of like holding yourself accountable to a metric. These kinds of goals can change very readily, so it's not really a big deal if you put that out there to try and hold yourself accountable and then determine you want to change direction. I've added some reference style markdown links here. And I'll now go and apply those links to some images that pop out and indicate how I want to be contacted. You'll note up above I've opened some new tabs for something called Simple Icons and Shields.io. These in combination will give us a free way to advertise and in a stylish way how to connect with us. So for instance, on Simple Icons, I can go and pull up a Gmail icon. I can leverage this in this color. It's a color that they recommend for this icon. And I can plug that into Shields.io, which offers us little badges that will look something like this in order to link from our README, from our profile, to our email. Looking at Shields.io, there's a template here, which is sort of the badge template. We can leverage that, and we can modify it with some of these styles. So what we'll do is we'll apply a specific style, we'll apply the logo color, and we'll apply the logo itself. And the logo is actually pulled from Simple Icons. So we know Gmail is our logo that we want, and we know we'll probably make it white on the logo with a background that makes sense for us from that color there, that makes sense for us from the icon itself, from the logo suggestion. All right. Let's copy in our badge template. We will go ahead and disregard this label. We don't need the label. We will throw in a message of email, and we'll color that by that Simple Icons color. So we can just click down there. That'll copy it to our clipboard. Remove the hashtag there. And then we've got ourselves something looking like this link here. If I click it, just email. Pretty cool. Let's do more. Let's modify that now with 3 different properties. We'll do the style, which I prefer flat square. This was demonstrated here. I prefer flat square, so that's what I'm going to go for. Style equals flat square. Flat squire. I don't know if that's a thing. We can do logo, which we know was Gmail. That was what we identified here, right? And we'll make the logo itself have a color of white. Alternatively, it'll pick up whatever color it has default for that icon, which might be orange or something. Would not necessarily work for us. And now we've got this link here, which we click. Hey, looking pretty good. Now we can use Markdown syntax just as built to be able to make this into a image. So if we wanted to do that, we would do bang email and then surround the link that we've got in parentheses and preview. Hey, look at that. We got ourselves our nice little image. That itself doesn't link to anything yet. So if we wanted to link it to our email, we can do email, or hard brackets there, followed by more hard brackets for the reference style link. And now if we preview that, highlight it, it says mail to at my email down below. Moving forward with this as the standard way to apply various images and links like this, totally valid, can look amazing. One thing that would sort of irk me about it, or bother me about it, is that it can lead to inconsistent widths and heights. So I prefer personally to take advantage of the fact that the GitHub Markdown processor here, like how does it go from Markdown to preview? It supports some level of HTML. And so I prefer to use the image tag, HTML image tag, to be able to show off this link, but with a consistent width and height. So we'll do that now. So here we've got our image. It's in a link, so it is linked to via that reference link to our email, but it's aligned to the left. It's got alt text, which is great, consistent defined width and height, and it's still using our badge, so that's exciting. I've changed it to say board tweaks email or board tweak pipe email, and if you preview that, you'll see. There you go. And this is consistent, this is controlled, so if I wanted to mirror this or change this, right, if I thought 200 pixels is the way to go, you get it a little wider. I think it's not, you know, that might be intuitive to the viewer, but I think 150 is a good width for this one. You'll note I used a break tag here, that BR HTML tag. It's possible that you can instead use hyperlink, the A tags in HTML, or defining divs to help control spacing. But without using that break, you'll find that in mobile view, you'll start to see things overlapping and headers going in places they shouldn't. My rule of thumb is to just put as many break tags as I think there will be lines of manifested images. If going with the image tag, if you're going with the previous, just using the link directly and using an image markdown syntax, you don't have to do this at all. All right, now let's move on to languages and tools. This can be practically identical to the contact info section. You will find a technology that you use, perhaps GitHub. Yeah. You'll go through the Shields.io process, create a badge from the template, change out things like what's the text, what's that message there, what's the logo, and I think the color right here. So those 3 things you change, and you iterate through the different languages and tools that you use. So here I've chosen to demonstrate that I am excellent at GitHub. You can tell because I made a profile README. In fact, I linked it here to another video in the non-zero days working through a workflow in GitHub. I think if you can, or if you're up for it, it's always fun to include a demonstration of your competency, your proficiency in that technology, or at least to demonstrate that you are trying, right? This doesn't have to be, the whole working in tech doesn't have to be your personal life as well as your work life. But if you have a demonstration, it's always neat to have there. All right, now let's go look at a preview. Here we have our link to our email, our link to our GitHub demonstration, and we can just go ahead and commit that and then take a look at what it looks like. Let's head to our profile. And here we are. Previously, where we walked in and it said, hey, you have no repositories, it now has our repository below. It's our popular one. It's the one that we've used. It's got repositories up there, but it shows the processed README nice and pretty. So anybody that walks in on your GitHub / your username will see this profile. Super neat. Today we went through the process of making a GitHub profile README. And that's a neat way that we can go ahead and introduce ourselves to everybody else in the community through GitHub. I think if you have the opportunity, I highly encourage that you go through the process and set it up, even in the most minimal of sense. I think as developers, we touch point very readily on technologies as a point of interest, of shared interest with other developers. And I think we grow a lot faster through those connections that we make with other developers. So if everybody goes through the process to make these profiles, to demonstrate our languages, our tools that we work with, I think we'll find an easier time making those connections and growing faster together. Congrats on a non-zero day.